President Biden is visiting areas in Kentucky devastated by tornadoes. The president is making stops in Fort Campbell, Dawson Springs, and Mayfield. Mayfield is where a candle factory was flattened by the storms, killing at least 8 workers. The president approved a major disaster declaration for the state, expediting the distribution of aid and resources. Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell says this has been the worst storm to hit Kentucky in his lifetime. He praised the president for his, quote, rapid support. Tornadoes on Friday and Saturday killed at least 88 people across 6 states. 74 of those people were in Kentucky. The state's Governor Andy Beshear also says more than 100 people are still missing. We want to bring in CBS News political contributor and White House reporter for the Washington Post, Sean Sullivan. Sean, nice to see you. You're in Kentucky covering the president's trip today. First, what are you seeing in terms of the devastation and the recovery process on the ground?
Well, the president, Elise, got a first-hand glimpse earlier this morning when he arrived in Kentucky of the sheer devastation that all across the country Americans have been looking at over the past several days. It's a busy day for the president. He landed earlier this morning, took the aerial tour, got to see the damage firsthand, and then he got a briefing afterward where he met with local officials, including police, fire, local city council members, and really, he tried to send a message, and this is the message we've heard from the president from the very beginning, that the federal government is going to be there to support these relief efforts and to support the rescue efforts, because as mentioned earlier, there's still a lot of people missing right now. There's a lot of uncertainty surrounding the situation. So it's a busy day of events for the president. This is the first time that he's been able to get a firsthand view of some of this devastation.
Now, President Biden is known for these moments when he can comfort people in times of crisis and tragedy and really connect with them. Is that what you're seeing today?
Well, one of his top aides on the flight down here mentioned to reporters that it was likely that the president would meet with some of the families of the people affected by the storm. And we've seen this a lot throughout Biden's career, not just as president, but as vice president and as a senator before that. He is somebody who has experienced tragedy and loss in his own life, and he's often drawn from that when he's had to address natural disasters and other crises. I'm reminded a bit of a trip he took that I was also on to South Florida earlier this year, where there was a deadly condominium collapse. And he gave very, very personal remarks and talked about the loss that he had suffered in his own life. And so I think we can expect to see that again from President Biden today when he talks to some of these families, because that's been a core part of his political identity, being the sort of empathizer in chief, this consoler in chief. It's something that he's done for many decades, hasn't shied away from it, and done in a way that a lot of politicians haven't done because they haven't gone through the same experience that he has in his life.
Governor Andy Beshear says he expects the death toll to rise in the coming days. What are you hearing about efforts to find the more than 100 people still missing?
Yeah, it's an ongoing effort right now, and what the Biden White House is trying to do is send a message to locals here in Kentucky that, look, we are not just helping with the recovery of, from these deadly storms, but we're helping with this ongoing search effort. And so you see FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Agency, which plays point on situations like this, deploying teams, search and rescue teams. We're also seeing the federal government, according to the White House, provide generators. A lot of people are without power right now. Food, water, basic resources that people are going to need and rely on in the coming days and weeks, and maybe even longer than that in some of these places. And so it is still an ongoing effort. We don't ultimately know what the ultimate cost in terms of lives lost and upended is going to be, but everybody on the ground here takes this very seriously, and I think operates under the expectations that this could ultimately end up being, unfortunately, worse than we even know right now.
These images are just so hard to see, Sean. What more can President Biden do to assist with this recovery process? And is he mentioning any other steps that the administration might take?
Yeah, well, when you look at what the White House did over the weekend, they sprung into action pretty quickly in a number of ways, and mainly what they did was quickly approve this emergency declaration, which freed up federal resources. And so what that did was that it allowed FEMA and other parts of the federal government, Department of Homeland Security, others, to basically work hand in hand with local officials. And I think that's a big part of the message that he's trying to send here today. We've heard him say that. We've heard his aides say that the full weight of the federal government is behind you, will give you everything that you need. And so that's the message that he's sending here. We'll find out in the coming days whether those resources are going to be able to fully match the needs as they stand on the ground here, and what, if anything, the administration or perhaps even Congress might do. But he's really trying to send, that message that the federal government is here. And I would also note that he's trying to make this trip a very apolitical trip. He said something at this briefing earlier today that was somewhat notable. He said, there are no red tornadoes, there's no blue tornadoes. So from the beginning, he's tried to send this message that, look, I'm here in a non-political capacity. It's worth noting that he's visiting an area that is very, very conservative, an area that voted overwhelmingly for his opponent, former President Donald Trump. This is not an area where he has a lot of natural supporters. So another thing to watch today is the reception. How does he get received in these communities? Is he going to face protesters? Is he going to face other signs of hostility? So far, we've seen Republicans generally praise his efforts. It was notable that Mitch McConnell, the Senate Minority Leader and a prominent Republican who has clashed with the president on a number of occasions, said some very nice things about him earlier this week. And you don't often hear Mitch McConnell saying nice things about President Biden. So that is a tone that he is trying to set in this trip and throughout the course of this week. We'll see how it holds up by the end of the day.
Yeah, we'll continue to watch. Families are just going through so much. Sean Sullivan, thank you.
Thanks.